I'm going to ask you about gaslighting.
Mm.
Some of our listeners, our viewers may not have ever heard of that term. So Mary, tell us, what is gaslighting? And we'll get into more of these questions, but your answer will probably help us to identify, hey, this is pretty harmful. So talk to us a little bit about gaslighting and what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. You're right. I don't think we talk about it enough in our culture. We don't recognize it as something that we do. Gaslighting is pretty much anything that when someone presents their need or their emotion, say their perception of something going on in their life, and someone else returns with an invalidation and a really persistent attempt of invalidation of that experience, their emotion, to say, like, that didn't really happen. You made that up. Well, you can't take a joke. Stop exaggerating. You're just being paranoid. You imagine that kind of your overreacting response. And it's really actually pretty harmful to understanding your own perception of life, kind of your sanity, your thought processes. It can be really detrimental to our health in that way.
Yeah. So gaslighting is essentially these small things that happen over time.
Mhm.
So this is hard, but how can someone recognize gaslighting when it's really happening to them?
Mhm. When they start to notice, like those small phrases we discussed, maybe it's from a loved one. Even we've experienced it, some of us, from parents, that when we notice, I bring my emotion or my need forward, and it's valid. You have a real experience going on, but you consistently are kind of face planting into that message that I'm wrong and I feel insecure about, can I make decisions? Can I trust what I think? Can I trust what I feel? And just kind of notice that swirling sense of, I don't know if my perception is reality, if I can
Mm.
trust that. That might be a check and balance for you to kind of notice, what's the message that my heart's receiving right now. um, Something they can do as far as noticing that, it depends on who you're talking to. If you feel safe enough with that person, check in with them.
Mhm.
What would it be like for you to say, you know what, this kind of hit my heart in a way. Like, I think you're misunderstanding me. This hurts. I don't feel like I'm being heard in a way. But they may not feel safe to say that.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't want to steer that part of like where we're going too much. Is there anything else that you notice that questions have kind of come up in this discussion?
No, I mean, I think you were about to get into it,
Okay.
though, about for those who are experiencing gaslighting right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
So
know, what if they don't feel comfortable talking about it to the other person? You were about to get into that, but
okay.
please do. Like, what's the advice to the people? Because this may be a new concept, but this is a very serious thing that's happening. What's some advice you'd give us if we're being gaslighted?
Yeah. So the first thing, like we said, would be to see if you feel safe enough to confront that person with care. Say, hey, I don't feel like you're hearing me, and I don't feel like I'm really being understood. Can I
Hmm.
check in with you about that? Something small you can say is, when you say this, I feel like you don't hear me, or this is really what's going on for me. Maybe I don't expect you to fix it, but it's really makes me feel alone when you kind of give me that response. If that person doesn't really receive that message from you, you might want to also kind of check your boundaries with that person. Maybe you just repeat that cycle and they go, no, you're imagining that. That's not what I meant. That's not what I said. You're over exaggerating. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. Then maybe it's time to step back a moment to evaluate your boundaries with that person,
Hmm.
and do some work for your own heart. Sometimes that's a good time to really talk to a counselor and say, I don't know about how I feel respected in my relationship here. How do I ask for respect? How do I share? And if I get turned down every time, that's kind of a boundary getting stepped on. And how do I reinforce what a healthy relationship would look like with them, what access they get to my heart?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, from my experience, I've seen this in marriages, and man, that's such a trauma to walk through. And I think you said it right. If you're not comfortable, then seek help.
Mhm.
That's that's what my counselor is for. And yeah, so yeah, seek help and find a counselor for that.